Welcome to Walk It Off's happy hour hang. I got a little Easter in my verbiage there and said happy hour hang. Not what I meant to do. We're excited to be here midweek with your hosts, Drew.
That's me.
That's you, and Dave.
That's you.
Bam. That's me adding some seasoning to this show. That's what I'm doing here.
Yeah, you're cooking it up today. We're ready to go. I know we had a lot of topics in here. We're gonna make it a gumbo. How many other similes can we get in here?
Maybe a little jambalaya.
Is this for Steph Curry? You should use chef.
Not tonight. He's playing the Suns, dude. Come on. This is for, so besides the fact that we always have something cooking up, besides that, thank you, we always do. This is because you have a beautiful Memphis Grizzlies shirt on, and you're repping our two playoff-bound teams, Smashville and the Memphis Griz. Well, I walked into here not being able to represent anybody because let's just put it frankly, quarantine has helped me outgrow both my Predators shirt and my Grizzlies shirt. So,
oh no,
I know, not cool. I'm hatless. I have a Sounds hat, but I do not have either of their hats. I've been wanting a Smash hat. Haven't gotten one. You know that every time that we've gone to a game, which it's been a while, we always look at the Preds merch, and then I just haven't walked away with anything. But I do still intend on getting a Winter Classic jersey at some point. I love them. It's going to wind up in my closet.
Thought about wearing that today too, but we'll have more chances because the Preds are in the playoffs.
That's exactly right. So this is the only thing I have. This is all I have is a Marc Gasol. Sorry, I knew I would do that. A Marc Gasol apron, and I figured the chef hat goes with it. Might as well.
It's a good look. You're styling for this happy hour hang.
Thank you.
What you cooking up? What you got? That a Topo Chico?
It is a Topo Chico. I am not on the booze train again tonight. That's just because I did my damage over the weekend, and last night because I was at a baseball game, Drew, for the first time in ages. And when I walked in and saw the stars in the sky and felt that summer breeze and heard the balls hitting the mitts, it was such a cool feeling. Even though it was kind of an eerily quiet entrance and everything, it was really spectacular to be back in that space.
Oh man, I can absolutely believe it because we just got that today here in Nashville. 615 Nashville Sounds played a game at home for the first time in damn near 2 years. And it felt real good.
I bet.
They didn't pitch so good, but it felt real good.
Well, I frankly, and I'm a Sounds fan, I'm rooting for them, but I don't care how they play. I just want to be at that park watching them play and enjoying it. It trumps it. I was even talking with a friend of mine who is a giant baseball fan. I don't know if he would rival you because you're peak tops on my list in terms of baseball fans that I know, but a guy who played baseball, a guy who continues to play in adult leagues, a guy who's in fantasy and things like that. So has all the perspectives that make him a baseball fan. And of course,
does he host his own radio show? Huh?
No, but who does?
Sucker.
I know, and he's a Chicagoan, so we'll forgive him. Although the curse has been lifted, he was even acknowledging the same thing. Just like, even if it's a bad game, even if it's a game you don't care about, coming into the stadium and just being a part of it, it just feels good. Even if you're not even paying attention to the game, which we've talked about, Sound Stadium is one of the mostly good things about it. It can be a drawback sometimes, is all the people there not paying attention also. So I don't want to fully stand behind it, but the bandbox. But it also adds to it. It just makes it a place, and it just created such a unique atmosphere.
Absolutely, man. And we'll see you out there. You'll get another chance to see us this week because there is a Throwback Thursday. And I know you're not in town right now, but when you were, and I'll still keep that up, we do not miss Throwback Thursdays on the berm.
I think they're
and
called...
It will be open back up to capacity.
That's exciting. And with the new food. And that makes me even more excited for what really should be called, and is, in the common vernacular, Thirsty Thursday.
We still call it that.
We still call it Thirsty Thursday.
We're trying to do solid because it's the beginning of a new season. But yeah, we still call it Thirsty Thursdays.
Absolutely.
Which is what it is.
There's a space for both. We'll give them the proper name and acknowledge that when I text you about Thursdays, it's Thirsty Thursday.
Man, it's just so good to have the sounds back and have baseball back. Man, that must have felt great getting out to that D-backs game.
Yep.
In your swanky seats.
They were pretty
radio
sweet seats.
Superstars get those kind of seats, right?
When you're this big of a deal. I mean, look, this makes me like 6'6" right here. So it's
not exactly how we got treated at the Griz game the other night, but hey, that's all right.
No, and I was thinking of you because the couple of games that I've been to, Suns game, Diamondbacks game, seem like they've been opposite experiences. The Suns just have an incredible energy behind them, which if this thing was happening last year, would not have been the case, right? But the Griz deserve to be in the same spot the Suns have been. Now, the obviously the records are different. The kind of outbursts that they're having this season are different, but the Griz are one of the most exciting teams in the NBA, and they're doing it. Like they haven't turned that corner yet, but they are in the new wave, using old parlance, gritting and grinding their way through this, and they're doing it in their own new way. And they really deserve next gen. They really deserve to be one of those exciting teams that has that vibe. So I really hope the playoffs flips that switch and it carries into next year for the home environment.
We'll still have yet to see where they're going to end up, but put it on lock tonight. The Griz are playing in the postseason. Clinched it with that blowout win over the Mavs. That felt good.
It did. That big third quarter too, man. That team just exploded, and that's what you need to do. When I played basketball, the mantra was, and every coach, every team has a mantra, but first and third, start out hot. Of course you want to finish the game nicely, and there's always a secondary mantra of like take a lead into halftime. so ultimately it's like win all the time.
Yeah, try to win all the time.
yeah. It turns into
John Madden your
coach? Yeah, just gonna say, it turns into a John Madden analysis. Just outscore them at the end of every quarter. And
you're going to end up winning that game.
You'll wind up on top. But truthfully, if you come out hot in that first quarter, in that third quarter, it is so demoralizing to another team. And what the Griz did to the Mavs in the third quarter did that. I mean, you could tell during the game and in the comments afterwards that the Mavs were on their heels. They did not have their footing. And that's not because they'll say it's because they didn't play well. But it's not because of that so much as it is the Griz came out and they really kept them off kilter.
Man, I'm ready for postseason action. We still don't know whether it's going to be the play-in tournament. It still looks like it likely will be. But you got to get that 8 seed. You got to get that 7 seed. Win one game instead of having to win 2 in a row to move on to the real playoffs. And as much as the players seem to hate it, as much as purists hate it, it's definitely made these last couple weeks of the NBA season a little more exciting. And exciting for us as radio hosts and analysts to talk about. That you've got all these extra permutations, extra possibilities of where teams end up with this play-in tournament, and teams battling for the 6th seed to stay out of the play-in tournament. You got such a logjam in both conferences right now. It does make pretty fun, and god damn it, the Lakers just tied it up again.
This is frustrating for you and I. When we were getting prepped, we were tracking the Suns and the Warriors, which obviously has big implications for the Griz. If the Warriors would have won, Suns had
won this game, then the Griz would be in 8th.
I know. If they had, I would switch that. I would have switched this win for the Knicks win. I would have done that to make you happier and to support the Knicks, or the Griz. But alas, they gave it up in the fourth quarter, outscored 30-18 or something like that, and now the Lakers have come back against your Knicks to tie it up 91 with 3 seconds left. This is going. We're getting free basketball here.
Every time we pick up these mics to start recording, we get a shocking ending of a game. So
I can't tell. Does that mean we're good luck that we give away free sports, or is it bad luck that our teams wind up being in jeopardy and ultimately losing sometimes? Knock on wood for your Knicks.
Man, we'll see what happens. But yeah, we're following that one, of course, because the Lakers are currently in that 7 spot in the play-in tournament, right there ahead of the Grizzlies. So move on up. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Yep. Man, I can't
One
believe the
thing was
Warriors
locked
took
tonight, but job ain't finished.
Nope, there's still time, and this is where the team is made. We've talked about how important it is to have playoff experience, and what's great about being in this position, and what I think is one of the great bonuses of having the play-in on the line, is these are not only are these final regular season games playoff games essentially, but now you get extra playoff games, and let's say they wind up a 9 seed where they are right now. You could knock the play-in games, but the Grizzlies would not be in the playoffs under normal circumstances, under the previous circumstances, if that didn't exist. So giving this team playoff experience like that is one of the most critical things we could do at this juncture, because they're on the cusp. They're young. They've got the time to do that. Like, this isn't championship year. Who knows? But this is when they need to develop all of that, so next year they can be a contender.
Yeah, this year isn't championship or bust. Obviously, that's good.
That's well said.
Good analysis right there. But it is a year to show some progress. You want to win a playoff series. That would be so great. Get battle tested.
Yep.
At least get yourself into one of the real series. But how unfair does it seem that the Grizz find themselves in this play-in tournament spot, and the other 3 teams in that play-in tournament are just the absolute blue bloods of the NBA? Lakers, Warriors, and Spurs? Really?
Yeah. I mean, they climb up into the Mavericks. They're just one spot in. And, I mean,
and the Blazers, who just passed the Mavs.
I know. But then again, then you start... this is taking away from your point, because your point was awesome. Those are the true blue bloods, especially over the last 20 years. But the Western Conference is chock full of that stuff. They really are. I mean, all of these teams, with the exception of the Clippers and arguably the Nuggets, even though they've been a competitive team, every other team in the playoffs right now for the West have been perennially good teams. And
You're
have
give that to Phoenix? You're really going to give that to Phoenix?
I think Phoenix has the. I think Phoenix had. First off, I said the last 20 years. So, second, Phoenix has like.
So you're counting the Malone and Stockton Jazz too.
I mean, yeah. Actually, honestly, that was going through my head, because after that, you're right. You kind of take them off the list.
So 25 years. 25 years. Okay.
But I need to do some Googling here while we're here. But I know that the Phoenix Suns, I believe, have the 4th best win percentage in the NBA, in the history of the NBA. And that's a team that's been around since 1968. And before they turned into the turds of the NBA in 2011, they had the number 1 winning percentage in the history of the NBA. They made the playoffs like 12 years straight, including the entire decade of the 90s, perennially a team that was in that mix until this last 10-year stretch. So, yes, Drew.
Okay.
I don't like arguing with you, man.
The Phoenix
but they
belong
there. Thank you. I came prepared.
Suns receipts.
Mise en place, if to use a chef's term.
Oh man, it's fun though. It's great times to be a Nashville sports fan too. So yes. I'm going to take this narrative back from you out there.
Thank you. I want to twist.
Drag it on here.
Thank you.
We're talking about the Grizz locking up their playoff spot in some shape or form tonight, and fighting back through some adversity, man. Coming up, hovering around 500 all season, and having a couple bad losses. That game against the Knicks that I got to be in attendance for, where they just totally lost their cool and melted down. But then you saw them fight back. You know, the way John Morant answered back the next night against Minnesota was so impressive. And they're still in that answering form. They're winning big games, beating teams above them in the standings, like the Mavs, with authority, winning on the second game of a back-to-back. Everything about that is encouraging tonight. And, of course, last night, we had just one of the most beautiful sights I can remember in Nashville sports, man. The Preds have given us so many special moments. And look, not to toot our own horn, but if you tuned in on the show on Sunday, we told you not to think about the game on Monday as just a throwaway game, as the game that doesn't mean anything after the playoff matchups are already locked in. Two teams that will be playing each other in the first round of the playoffs, so they're not going to want to give anything away. But there was that potential sitting there that this could be Pekka Rinne's last game, both as a Nashville Predator and in the NHL. He hasn't officially said he's retiring, but all signs seem to be pointing towards that. And when he got that start in that final regular season game on Monday right here in Smashville, the atmosphere was electric. And seeing the way his teammates reacted to him, just hugs and stick taps, the Smashville standing O, letting him get on the ice and skate by himself, it sure seemed like that was Pekka Rinne's last game. Well, ready to send him off for the home fans one more time. And holy shit, was it storybook. It was misty here at the barn, man. Pekka Rinne comes out here after, falling to the backup spot this season with the Preds. Gets in that game for the first time in, almost 20 days, maybe more than that, almost a month. First time Pekka Rinne gets to start. He goes out there and he is vintage Pekka. The hashtag Pekka for Vezina that we were pumping a couple years ago that he ended up winning. That was the Pekka we got to see on the ice. Save after save, looked unstoppable, and ends up with a 30-save shutout victory as the Preds just fed off that energy from the crowd, fed off that energy from Pekka, and made for one of the more special nights that I can remember as a Preds fan, because that just felt so good to a guy who might be the most important player in Preds history.
I think it's inarguable now. Like, not that there aren't players that you could talk about that, but he's been the pivotal person through this successful playoff streak. He's been the pivotal person between the best season in the history, the two best seasons in the history of the Predators, their Stanley Cup run, although they eked it in the final seed, and then walking away with the President's Cup. That is, I don't think that you can take that away from him at this point, that he's been the most important player. What I think is potential now is that as some of these other players either move on or retire over the next decade less, maybe, or so, that we might consider some others in that category, because some of those guys are still on our team and playing really well and making an impact. And especially if this team keeps going, we're going to have a harder decision to make as to who is the most important player in Predators history. That's a good problem to have, because we have been turning out great players, and it was so cool to be able to honor one of them, especially Pekka, who's been my favorite player since before we even went crazy here. I mean, I've got some friends in Milwaukee, used to watch him play up there, and
as an
admiral, and the description I've heard of him being like Bambi, right? These little like stick legs sliding all over the ice, and here he's just this fully developed, Vezina Trophy winner, and just an awesome dude too. I just love the guy, and there are few players that I've loved as much as I love Pekka Rinne, and that's just adds to how emotional and cool it was to see the players honor him, ultimately the crowd honor him, especially during, a COVID season, and to see him, and you heard his comments afterwards that wasn't his comfort zone, but to see him embrace that. I mean, to see Pekka out on the ice alone like that was just a really cool sight, and something that was very well deserved no matter what happens next.
That was absolutely beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful, man. Just to let somebody who's meant that much to our city, to our franchise, to have that storybook ending, to not have the Albert Pujols ending.
Yep. Yeah.
It was just so great to see. And again, yeah, you nailed it, man. In a season where the fans are just starting to get back in numbers, to be there for that, to be there to give the Smashville standing O, for the Preds to come out there and get a 5-0 victory with all cylinders firing going into the playoffs. Big time energy to get a Frosty goal.
Yep.
Everybody's happy. It was just an absolutely special night here in Smashville, and we couldn't get enough of watching that. We couldn't choose which videos, which pictures we wanted to post up on our Instagrams or anything. All that at Walk It Off Radio stuff. We just wanted to make it all Pecorine all the time.
Yep.
Love that. It was a spectacular night. And there was so much other great stuff going on. We kind of ignored a lot of other big stories in the sports world because this one took over our hearts, our city. Man, it was very cool. So we had to make sure we added some Pecorine merchandise to our little... Yeah, we're building it out now that we know we're on video. Nice.
I got that little guy there for us, too.
Looks good.
Adding...
See, we got to add the sports merch out here now that we know that we're going to be on video for these happy hour hangs.
That's right.
We can add our backgrounds that we got going on right now. So Bo Outlaw's getting joined by a Pecorine signed book back there. And we got a lot more stuff here. We won't show it all to you right away, but... we got some more special stuff coming up for you.
I love it.
He looks good sitting there on that shelf.
I love your setup too, man. And you're right. Like one of the things I wanted to highlight about him too is it was cool because I haven't been tracking Pekka's career stats that much. I just like
60th shutout. Nice
60th shutout, and for him to move into 19th on the all-time list alone with that final game, it just added to all the great. I don't know, like kismet things like that just happened that night. Just a shutout, 5-0, to beat this team we're about to play in a dominant fashion, to go out at home that way, for him to have 30 saves in just a really, like you said, vintage, awesome performance.
And some unreal saves.
Some unreal ones. Like, he still got it. And that's what is going to really stink if and when he moves on, is going to be tough to see him somewhere else if that's the case. And now retirement, I think, is probably something that's on his agenda too. But I also wanted to point out, looking at this list of the top 20, top 19 in terms of shutout totals, he's number 19 right now.
Martin Brodeur, everyone else,
yeah, huge gap. He's got 125, 103 is the next. But there are 3 players on that list that have played for only one franchise, and that's it. Every one of them have gone to at least 2 franchises, and I know that's likely, and that's how it works. What's that?
Even Marty can't say that.
Even Marty can't say that. It's exactly right. I mean, he wound up making one change, but and that may be in the path for Pekka, but it's really cool to know that so much of that happened with our franchise, and that just makes him even more married to Smashville.
No doubt, man. That is special. We talk about that a lot with base of the franchise type players. You always like to see that one uniform for your whole career. And yeah, when you were mentioning, that most important player thing, he also served as that bridge between
That's a good point.
the 2 other guys who are probably in that conversation, the 2 Preds captains, the legendary, absolute pinnacle defenseman that you could ask for in Shea Weber and Roman Josi right now. And then, of course, to the old heads, who are you going to say? David Legwand's basically the answer to every Preds trivia question.
That's true.
It's all about Leggy and Tutu, right?
And Tutu, yeah, Jordan Tutu. Yeah. Yeah, it's...
Steve Sullivan.
Yeah.
Thomas Vokoun right back then. Giving a little bit of legitimacy to the young franchise.
That's true. There's been a lot of great names in this franchise, and but I think that just makes him stand out even more, is that he's done that, and I think honestly, I think one of the names that it doesn't deserve in that conversation, but will go down attached to it for such a small amount of time, is PK Subban too, for what he did for the Preds and bridging that defensive gap too between.
He definitely raised the profile.
He raised the profile and
national media profile
and the performance bar. At least he was a part of that. He wasn't alone in that, but he did. So, I mean, I think he's a pivotal guy as well, but not at the level of all those other guys for sure. But he'll be remembered. I think when you talk about, I don't know how the Hall of Fame does their busts or whatever, but the debate in the MLB always is like, which hat are they going to wear? And it wouldn't surprise me if he would wind up going in with a Predators cap, even though I know he.
Subban? That would surprise me, but
I don't know. I think it was one of the more pivotal times in his career, but we'll see. We'll see how it winds up.
Maybe if him and Lindsay stuck it out.
Yeah, I know. Heartbreak. I know. I follow their dogs on Instagram, but they're poor dogs.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. He had the video game cover.
He did,
Yeah,
yeah.
national profile type stuff.
And a
And
Stanley Cup appearance. Not that doesn't. That's not a light thing.
damn straight, man. But yeah, and then on the forward end, this was the first season in what 7 years that it wasn't Phil Forsberg or Victor Arvidsson leading the team in goals.
Yeah.
That likely would have been Phil if he wasn't injured for pretty much the end half of the season. But
Yeah, that was a bit. Well, that stirred up a lot of our team and records for this year. I mean, look, even on the list high up there generally is, Eli Tolvanen and things like that in terms of points and goals. So, these young guys came in and made a difference.
Weapon on the power play made a
For
big
sure.
difference. And what about Tanner Jeannot, man?
Yeah,
5 goals in 15 games as part of that energy line, adding the real grit, the sandpaper to that lineup that we needed so much. That's been spectacular. There's everything about that game with Pekka Rinne's final, if it was his final game, just everything about that game was good vibes, man. The Preds have had that "we vibin" meme going around in their post-game conferences, and it all came together. The vibe all came together in that game. I mean, you had the struggling guys you want to get started before the playoffs, Duchesne, Johansson, scoring goals in that game. You had power play goals. You had shorthanded goals. You had the guy you want to stay hot, Tanner Jeannot, scoring a goal. It was just an absolutely special night.
it was.
Of course, highlighted by the shutout from Rene.
Of course, and one of the things I really loved about it is we've talked all year about these major investments, these players that we want to make a difference, step up, and we had 2 goals from Duchesne. Like these things that just have not been a part of the equation, like they could be major chapters for a playoff push.
So ready.
So ready.
I'm so happy we got this midweek happy hour hanging here because we won't be there Sunday night this week.
That's right.
But we'll have plenty to talk about. And man, I can't remember so much happening in the 1 or 2 days after we went off the air on Sunday night.
No.
This necessitated a midweek hang. All these great stories, especially that, Pekka Rinne, the Grizzlies making it, the Sounds opening that stadium up finally. Man, we're so hyped to be back out there, to be at the stadium, man. It's just absolutely special. And then we almost missed on all of our, swooning over that game with the Preds. Russell Westbrook did it. He broke Oscar Robinson's records for the most triple doubles in NBA history. I mean, I can remember a time where I thought Oscar Robinson's averaging a triple double for a complete season was one of the untouchable records in sports.
I thought that until a year or 2 ago. I really did.
Until Westbrook did it, 4 out of the last 5 years?
Yeah.
How did he go on this tear?
I don't know. It's truly special. It's truly magical. I think it's truly underrated. I'm really blown away by the little amount of fanfare that's come along with this. I mean, it's certainly been acknowledged, but this is parade-worthy stuff. I mean, parades are off limits right now, guys. But still, this is...
Tell that to Tom Brady.
Yeah, fair enough. Oscar Robinson's record, you're right, it was up there with what I find are mostly baseball records that seem untouchable. The hit streak, the starting streak by Cal Ripken. These things, it's just like you have to be
untouchable.
I think they're fully untouchable. But I really, really would have said, well, what's the basketball equivalent? I would have said this one. And this is, it blows my mind that he's done this. And you look at, he gets sold short so often. But look at this list.
Seashells by the seashore.
I know. It's water, I swear. Russell Westbrook, number 1. Oscar Robertson, number 2. Magic Johnson, number 3. Jason Kidd, LeBron James, Wilt Chamberlain, Larry Bird, James Harden, Jokic, Fat Lever, Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic's all the way already up there. That's special too. But that is a hell of a list, and that is a record and a statistic that not only shows consistent performance, but I truly think, and I said this on the show before, and it can be debated because of the product of his teams and the feedback from his teammates. That is a team player. That is somebody who's doing everything to help his team. When you're rebounding, that's hustle. You don't rebound unless you're a hustler at that level. You don't pass if you're not running plays and you're not seeing your teammates and you're not studying their skills and their strengths. And you certainly, well, you can score by being a jerk. We watched Kobe Bryant for years, but this is I think it's true. I think it's truly special, and I'm glad we're pausing to acknowledge that he did this, because it's a cool milestone.
Yeah, and these aren't like, chasing, getting your own rebound, the infamous moves to fill out a triple-double.
Yes.
Some of these stat lines he's been putting up are stat lines that have never been done before in the history of the NBA by nobody else. Just the sheer number, the sheer volume of these numbers that he's been putting up are insane. He calls himself the best playmaker in the league, and how are you going to argue with that?
How can you?
With some of these stat lines he's putting up there. Before the season started, this is something I really wanted to bring back. We talked about in our NBA preview about two teams with a little bit higher expectations this season that we thought might sneak into the playoffs, especially because of offseason additions. We specifically said Chris Paul ups the level of any team he joins. If Chris Paul's joining your team, especially a team that had success previously, that had that momentum from last year's bubble, that team's going to improve. Lock it in. I don't even think we expected a number one seed in the West type improvement, but Chris Paul does that for a team, and it's not that big a surprise to see him having an NBA quality year and lifting the Suns up along with him. It's that unfathomable intensity, that competitiveness. And the other guy that also switched teams that we said, Russell Westbrook, if you put him on a team of nobody else, that team's a threat for a number 8 seed in the playoffs. Absolutely. They're going to make a playoff run.
Yep. You're right.
He's a player who doesn't need teammates. And yeah, when it came down to it, it's been his play and Bradley Beal, of course, challenging Steph Curry for the scoring title in a great race right now, coming down to the wire. But yeah, Westbrook was the absolute key to this giant winning streak that was put together, putting themselves in that playoff spot and ready to go into the postseason for a team that was absolutely buried and dead.
Very, very well said. And I think the Bradley Beal example is great here too, because when you talk about Chris Paul, you know what they say every time when they say why Chris Paul helps his team in that way? Every time they say it's because he makes other players better. That's what they always say about the elite point guards too. They make other players better, and that's what, frankly, that's never.
That's been a knock on Westbrook.
That's not exactly. They've not said that about him. But look at Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal has always been a talented player. I love Bradley Beal. Like this is not something that is surprising by a large margin, but you have to align his incremental improvement this year, the fact that he's battling for the scoring title, with Russell Westbrook being in that lineup and changing the dynamic on the team and making him a better player and opening up opportunities for him. I think it's an example of Russell showing that he can do that and that he's developed that skill to be better at it over years as well.
Those are two players that I've been wrong about. We were just giving ourselves credit for being right in our season preview. But we'll be honest here and say some calls that we were wrong about. I always thought of Beal and Devin Booker as kind of your empty calorie type players. Guys who will get their buckets, fill up the score sheet, but not really add to a winning team.
Yeah.
They're your classic good numbers on a bad team type of guys. I'm happy to be wrong about both of them, seeing them step up, seeing them both make an absolute leap to the upper levels of the NBA. And a lot of that can be attributed to getting the right teammates.
There's no
Booker made
doubt
a
about
step
it.
before Chris Paul got there this year, but it's been a next level type of deal this season. He makes the All-Star team. albeit as a replacement.
But
still,
but again, also second
an
time.
all-star in the Western Conference.
Yep.
And yeah, you add Chris Paul, you add Russell Westbrook. These guys are maniacally competitive and intense.
Yeah.
They work harder than everybody else. They'll be there in the practice court. They'll be working on everything. They're looking for every tiny little advantage on a basketball court.
Yep.
And that's going to rub off on your team. And that's why we felt so confident in saying that these guys are just part of winning teams.
No doubt. And it exposes the third pillar of the tripod, I guess, whatever you want to call it, which arguably the fans are also another pillar. But the players, the coach, and then you have the front office. And we know how important that is for individual player performance, for team chemistry, and ultimately for a successful team. And it's overlooked a lot. I mean, sure, we knock owners, we knock GMs, and we certainly give credit when the Spurs create an incredible culture, and Pat Riley does the same thing. But this is the kind of thing that says that there's a good front office there. And when you compare it to other times in their careers, you can sometimes see and say that was the gap right there. Maybe they had it in them all together all the time. It was a matter of having a GM put the right player with them too. So it doesn't negate what you're saying. It's just another level to it. Is you have to have, for you to be successful and look good, it's not just about your individual performance and what you can do as an individual. It's about the players you have around you, which ultimately is about the GM in the front office spending the money and choosing the right players to be around you so that you can be put in that situation. And Devin Booker benefited from it. Last year was not an anomaly. In regards to your point, Ricky Rubio was there. We brought in some really helpful veterans in that space and built some really thoughtful young guys around him that helped him grow as well. And of course, brought in a new coach. Those things were critical to him taking that leap last year, because he could have been exactly the player you thought he was when he scored 70. But James Jones put those players around him, and he did that. And that's one of the things the Wizards deserve credit for. Is John Wall is not a toxic individual. I think he's a great team player and a great point guard. And
he was a great story early on in the season.
He really was. He really was.
Before the wheels totally came off.
I know. I was rooting for him, and I still am. But what the Wizards did by bringing him in also shows the dedication to winning, right? Like you said, everybody knows when you bring that player in, you're pushing for a playoff spot, and you're in to win because you're paying big bucks. So that speaks loudly to the team as well. Just a lot of variables to a one player's individual performance.
And then we get history.
That's what we're here for.
Breaks Oscar Robinson's all-time triple-doubles record while wearing a Wizards jersey. So you got that. You get that damn history. And, man, that's just a special one because that really was just, before Westbrook went on this streak in these last 5 seasons, I would have told you we'd see someone break Wilt Chamberlain's 100 points before we saw someone break, Oscar Robinson's triple-doubles.
Well, maybe we'll see Russell Westbrook break that one too. It's not off the table, but it is off the table.
Hey, what if this scoring race comes down to the last day between Beal and Curry?
I know. That'd be pretty sweet.
Curry's been a great story this season too. Don't sleep on him. Without Klay Thompson, with Draymond's game falling off a little bit, with Wiseman not really fulfilling his promise after a hot start. It's been spectacular what Curry's done. Just the greatest shooter in NBA history.
Yep, arguably the greatest scorer alongside maybe Kevin Durant at this point. He can do anything. And what I like about him is he doesn't have that freakish...
Jordan?
All right, Jordan's in that category. And Kobe's in that category.
So put him in the conversation, right?
Yeah. But and honestly, I keep forgetting. I hate it when my brain goes blank. Dirk Nowitzki. I think I routinely rate him the best scorer in the history of the NBA because he can do everything. But what him and Kevin Durant both have that Curry doesn't, and certainly Jordan didn't, and Kobe didn't, is this weird body frame that allows and skill set that allows them to be 7 foot tall and play all kinds of every position essentially and score at every point on the court. So what Curry's doing is just in this weird pure basketball setup, and it's really cool to see him do that. Yeah, shooting and creating space, ball handling. You know, he knows how to move in space. He's a really, really great player.
And I know you weren't going to give any love for Kareem, but
I do. He does deserve to be in that, and he's the predecessor to Dirk Nowitzki and Kevin Durant. And you know, even though we look at him, you know, in the center category, he created all that versatility and incredible scoring. And I mean, I guess you could say Hakeem Olajuwon isn't far off from that, although he was a little bit more pure 5 center player. But
when they make rules to stop you, like
that's true.
With Chamberlain, with Kareem, you know something is real special going on there. Man, are we the most optimistic show in sports?
Yes.
I feel like there's good vibes all around right now.
Always, dude.
That's something I'm always proud of here.
Me too. It's because we have fun doing this. It's because we have fun doing this.
Yeah, and because we don't need to, you know, we don't need to start fights.
Although you tried picking a fight with me earlier, but luckily you backed off on that one. I was about to take my chef hat off.
Look at you, man. Who could fight with that?
Look at this intimidating face. You don't want to mess with this.
Look at this apron.
I know. Grit and grind, baby. Grit and grind. Me and Zebo, man. Don't mess with us. Oh, man.
Oh, dude, I love it. But hey, let's go on to one more thing before we get out of here tonight. We're giving a lot of love for the Sounds earlier on, because it feels so good to have them back. Again, it's been almost 2 years since we got to go to a Sounds game. So this is just, oh man, it means the world to us. It really does. I'd love to go in on a team preview or everything, but you summed it up well. A lot of this is the experience. We love the on-the-field product, of course. We love it when the Sounds are winning. We love it when we see former Sounds kicking ass in MLB. You know, it's always great to see all of our guys, you know, from Prince Fielder to Ryan Braun to Giovanni Gallardo to Matt Chapman to Max Muncy. It's just great. Ramon Laureano. You know, there's so many huge names that we love seeing for the Sounds. But the big story is, of course, for us just having that outlet here in Nashville. It's just a special atmosphere at the ballpark. You know, this year's team with the Brewers wasn't expected to be top-end AAA, but we mentioned, we did a little preview earlier. We mentioned some interesting prospects that they've got on this team. We got to give a shout-out to Zach Green, who's been crushing the ball early. He hit his 3rd home run in the home opener tonight. There's a lot of ways to be optimistic around what's going on there. And we'll, of course, find a favorite as the season goes on. We always find somebody who just kind of puts their way into our heart as the season goes along, who might not be the star, but, you know, somebody like Jose Trevino or Zach Granite of previous years. Scooter Gennett was an absolute fan favorite here. There's just always a lot of fun around the team there. So, while we're not going to do a full team preview or anything, I do really want to talk about these reports that we just heard. Breaking news on the day of the Sounds home opener, which felt a little bit wrong, but that MLB is pushing the A's to consider relocation. And of course, Nashville's in that conversation. The Nashville Stars, the MLB to Nashville movement, all this infrastructure we have now, the nonstop building of mixed-use buildings. God, I'm so fucking over that phrase.
I bet.
That's like a trigger warning now when you see, oh, another mixed-use building is going up. Yeah, I bet it is. And it's going to destroy traffic and the neighborhood and whatever. That's an argument for another time. But MLB to Nashville, as unbelievable as that is, as great as that is, it'd be different. It'd be a completely different atmosphere than we have here with the Sounds. So embrace what we got for sure, while we do look ahead to the future.
Well said.
And as far as that report does go, look, I want to be optimistic. I want to say, fuck yeah, MLB to Nashville is the right call. We've got everything going on here. Bring us in. I'll broadcast the games, no problem. Don't worry about it.
Locked in.
You got your guys here. But I want to say that report was 90% negotiating tactic. The A's have this plan, this Hudson Yards plan that they've got going on for a while out there in Oakland. Coincidentally, there's a vote coming up that's been stalled for a little while, and this report comes out. It feels like it's 90% trying to push Oakland to commit to more of a deal. It's privately funded. There's a lot of good ideas with this thing, and it feels like it should get across the line after so many failures. This isn't a Rangers situation. This isn't a Braves situation. This is a team that does actually really need a new stadium.
Yeah.
The 55-year-old Coliseum leaking sewage every season. They deserve that.
Yeah, and now
they deserve some revenue.
Left alone over there too after the Warriors bolted. So.
And the Niners.
And the Niners, yeah.
And the Raiders. Well,
yeah.
The Niners did too, but
yeah.
Oakland lost the Raiders, lost the Warriors.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's definitely needed. And I mean, I've been around that. So I went to a Warriors game, didn't go into the stadium, but they're right next to each other, I believe. And it's a beat up looking little area, man. Like that's just the optics of it. So, but yeah, I just got to concur with you for whatever it's worth. You know that just putting it out in public is saying, come on, guys, get your shit together. If you don't, then there are multiple steps beyond that. But I wholly believe that the MLB doesn't have any intentions right now of actually shopping, besides maybe having a couple phone calls with leadership of these burgeoning teams just to say, hey, think about it. Think about what it might look like. But they have no intention of doing that. I mean, this A's team is very likely to stay. Like you said, they've got a plan in place. Just need votes, which is easier said than done. They need it all to come together and have the money, but it's not like they've been sitting on their hands waiting for this to happen. So something is there, just needs to happen quicker, and according to Major League Baseball, at least, and this is their pressure move. So,
and you're right, that would be miserable for Oakland to lose their last professional team.
For sure, and I mean, frankly, they're my favorite Oakland team. I mean, I love the A's, and I
said it before, they've been my American League team.
Absolutely, it would be really, really bad. I mean, akin to, I don't remember when the A's started, but they
moved from Philly, right? Or yeah, pretty sure they were Philly before that.
That's what I'm double checking real quick. I actually didn't know that.
Kansas City.
1960s, that's Oakland Raiders, Oakland Athletics. I'll see what I can figure out. But, West Division, 1969.
Oakland, and that's when the Coliseum was built, right?
I mean, I couldn't have been far from that. Yeah, they were the Philadelphia Athletics. So the franchise started in 1901. So the franchise isn't going away, right? To 54, Kansas City, 1955 to 1967, and then 68 to now. And 68 is nothing to sneeze at. It's akin to Seattle. Ironic that they've got a similar color scheme to Seattle bolting. They had been around since the late '60s, and that's a fan base you just can't disrupt like that. We know they do it. It's happened before. It's not unprecedented, but it'd be really, really, really unfortunate to lose the A's in Oakland. Nashville Athletics.
90% trying to push that negotiation fee.
Yeah.
And out of that 10%, I'd probably place Nashville as the third choice behind staying in Oakland with a new stadium and following the Raiders to Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Vegas. Oh, I'm so mad Vegas is getting all this stuff. But it is going to make for a good Vegas trip someday. But then again, I definitely want, as much as I like this excitement for Nashville and this really quick growth, I want it to be paced, right? There's other things that we could totally get into, like transportation and infrastructure and things like that really should come
dream on.
Should really come along with things like this. But even beyond that, right? Like, we don't set it up to be a bust, right? Like, we have baseball in Nashville. We have good, fun baseball atmosphere, which means that you can go watch all the four major sports in the Nashville area, at minimum in Tennessee, and MLS. You've got a lot of options. So it's nothing I feel like we need to rush into, but I'm glad the plan is in place.
And of course, you got to be in the discussion to be in the discussion later.
That's exactly
just
right.
the
It's got to
fact
start
his name
somewhere.
is out there is a good thing.
It is, and
So
this brings
it's a
money in.
testament to all the hard work that MLB to Nashville and the Stars are doing
True.
to raise that national profile and put yourself out there just in case something does fall through. Name's in the discussion. Got to be in it to win it.
Agreed. It's a good start, and that just means good momentum for Nashville, which turns everything we've talked to today into even more good stuff. All the playoff pushes, all the success for these teams, all the fact that they're playing in front of all these people that have moved to Nashville now in the last year. This is going to be another turning point. I can't wait for the next It City article to come out and list Nashville right there.
I just can't wait for us to be back at the stadium, man.
Me either, dude. I can't wait to see you. I'm going to see you face to face in a little bit, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, you'll be back in Nashville, so
That's right.
We'll tear up the town.
Cannot wait, my man, and we'll try to get some of these going as well to keep everybody updated. I love these happy hour hangs.
Yeah, absolutely. Good time. Cheers.
Right back at you, my man. Thanks for jumping on today.
Good stuff. And of course, we're here all the time on WXNA. 101.5 FM here in Nashville, WXNAFM.org, anywhere worldwide streaming. Check the archives, listen to old episodes, whatever you need to do. It's all right there for you. And we're thrilled to be there every single week for you guys, except this Sunday.
But you can count on us all the time. We'll see you there.
See ya.